Hi! Do you remember this video?
And let your strings play.
It was almost 2 years ago, and if you haven't seen it, make sure to watch how not to keep your racket safe and sound. If you watch the video, here's a clip from the end of that video. Well, I'm not quite done yet. What I decided to do is after the guys hit with the rackets, I took another reading on the two rackets, and you can see on the white label racket that it did drop a couple more pounds down to 42. And so did the black label racket down to 44, so that was consistent. Do you need clarification? Well, here's a clip from the end of that video that might help you understand what inspired this video. What if you left your racket in your car when the weather is really cold? And that could be a future video, but I have to wait till the temperature reaches 30 or 40 degrees in Hawaii, so we'll see. Well, it reached 34 degrees here in Hawaii. Well, kind of. Before I tell you why I had a picture of that thermometer, did you know that racket strings can behave differently in hot and cold climates? Strings generally will feel looser and lose tension faster in hot climates for the reason that the hot temperature and the heat will soften the string, making tension loss faster. Strings generally will feel tighter and will lose tension slower in cold climates for just the opposite reason. It does cause it to feel stiffer and tighter, but it won't increase the tension. However, it will slow down the process of tension loss. And speaking about weather conditions, in high humidity, it's natural gut that's mostly affected by the moisture in the air, reducing the lifespan of the strings. So I have a couple rackets here. Try to hear the difference between these two rackets. They were both strung at 50 pounds, and these two are synthetic gut. Yeah, this one's slightly higher in pitch, so it is higher in tension between these two. And I have a couple here in polyester, and this was also strung at 50 pounds. And again, this one here in the white grip does sound tighter. Now, the reason why we're doing this test and using the thermometer is we're going to take a look at some readings where I strung one of the rackets and stored it in a refrigerator at 34 degrees, and the other racket I strung it and kept it at room temperature, air conditioning room temperature at 74 degrees. And we'll take a look at what happened in 2 days as I track the readings. All right, let's go inside. All right, so let's take a look at the readings that I have here, and the racket that I use is a Prince Phantom 100G at 50 pounds. Now these two strings here, well, this is the same string, but this is in blue type, the stringing that I placed in the refrigerator, and this red is at room temperature at 74 degrees. And I did the same here for the Prince Synthetic Gut. So let's take a look at the initial reading, and of course I strung these all at room temperature, so you'll see the temperature there. And with these two rackets, they matched up perfectly at 35 DT, which is the same as 51 pounds. And on this particular racket, this one came out 1 DT lower, so you'll see the 52 and 51. Now what I did is immediately after I strung these two in the blue type, I placed them in the refrigerator, which you saw earlier. The thermometer was at 34 degrees. And then the one at room temperature was with the air conditioning on at 74. So let's take a look at the tension drop for the refrigerator racket and the one at room temperature. So you can see that if you're comparing these two, this one lost 1 more pound at room temperature. And if you're comparing these two, this one lost 3 versus the one here. Now after the first day, I went back to the refrigerator, and you could see that this one maintained its tension right here. It stayed at that 48, so it's still at -3. The one at room temperature lost 1 more pound of tension there, so you'll see the -5. The Prince Synthetic Gut, though, refrigerated, it still dropped. So now it's at -3 from the original number from the 52. And this one at room temperature dropped 1 more pound. So now it's at -4. This next column here is the climate. And if I could have played in the refrigerator, then I would have play tested. I would have used all the rackets. But in all fairness, I felt like I shouldn't play with any of the rackets. So with these two rackets, it stayed at 32, 34 degrees. And this was to simulate what it would be like if you're in a climate that's that cold and you have your rackets in the car, let's say, and it's at this temperature. And these two here, I took them outside, and you could see that it was at 92 degrees. So that would be if I were to play with the rackets. But again, I didn't play with any of them, just to be fair. So finally, on this day 2, this is the final reading. And at room temperature, you could see that this one lost 5 and this one lost 3. So this one did hold attention. In fact, it held it from all the way from 2 hours all the way to day 2. And with this racket here, this one dropped another pound from day 1. And this one dropped another pound from day 1 also. So this one ended up a little bit lower in tension. And so did this one here. Now, if I had played with these rackets, I'm sure that the difference here would have been much lower. But again, because I couldn't play with the rackets in the refrigerator, I didn't think it was fair. So anyway, that's the readings I got from this 2-day tracking of tension loss. So let's say you plan to restring before traveling to a completely different climate, such as a dry, cold winter to a hot and humid tropical place like Hawaii. For hot weather, if you're traveling with 2 rackets and you're a string breaker, I would recommend increasing the tension by 2 pounds. If you're not a string breaker and you have 2 rackets, I would recommend stringing one at 2 pounds tighter and the other one at 4 pounds, so at least you have an option. Now let's say if you're traveling with just 1 racket, my recommendation would be to increase the tension by 3 pounds. For cold weather, do everything in reverse. The other option is to string at your destination to adapt to any unexpected weather. And if it happens to be in Kona, Hawaii, make sure to look me up. Whew. For humid weather, first, avoid natural gut. But if you have to have it, here is how to protect it. First, you want to have a thermal lined racket bag, something like this, where you'll see a lining that has this silver lining. And this will protect it from moisture and temperature changes. What you want to also do is avoid leaving your racket enclosed in your bag while it's damp. So make sure that after you play with it, you wipe it down. And you really want to let the grips air out in a dry, cool place. And here's a pro tip. When you buy a pair of shoes, it's typically going to have a silica gel pack like this. And that absorbs moisture. So go ahead and save these. And I would recommend just throwing them in your bag. So that'll help take away some of the moisture in your racket bag. If you plan to travel on a plane to a destination, make sure to check out my other video, how to travel with a racket on a plane. Now here's another scenario. Let's say you live in the state of Montana or Oklahoma, where the temperature can change drastically in a single day. Although I haven't experienced it firsthand, having 2 rackets, one strung for hot and the other for cold temperatures would make sense. Now, if you live anywhere in the world where climate changes are extreme, I would love to hear if any other tips may help, so please leave a comment. Although living in Hawaii doesn't present many opportunities to prepare for climate change, I hope this will help you prepare if you visit here from somewhere cold and dry. By making these adjustments and staying proactive, you'll maintain consistency in your game regardless of the weather. Thanks for watching. Happy stringing. And let your strings play.